Obamacare rollout day 51, and another day, another passing day, more failures. Today's highlights: IT professionals warned that the website is a hacker's dream, your personal info at risk. And this, at a fundraiser in Florida last night, Kathleen Sebelius gets nailed as healthcare.gov crashes just as the secretary smiles for her photo op. The law is falling apart at the seams, folks, and so is the president's approval rating. A new CBS poll says it's an all-time low, 37%. Maybe dragging it down is Americans' realization that the law is a disaster. 31% approval rating on Obamacare. How many people think the law is working out well? Only 7%. What's the White House make of all this? Ed Henry knows. Ed, any panic there, or are they so insulated or arrogant, as I may put it, that they can't even fathom the thought of scratching it and starting over?
Well, Eric, I think panic might be a little bit strong, but they're deeply concerned. They're worried. Pick your adjective. The bottom line is they realize that these poll numbers, the bottom is just falling out, both for the president's approval rating and approval of this law. I mean, if you look at this CBS poll, you already laid out some of the top line numbers. But when you dig a little bit deeper, the fact that, it's something like only 31% actually approve of the law, that is a drop of 12 points in 1 month. Well, what's happened in the last month? You've had the botched rollout, and you had the president's broken promise about, if you like your plan, you'll get to keep it. And so they've been pushing back on all this, and they still feel inside the White House, when I talk to top officials, that in the long run, this is going to work out. But they know, they're not fools. They understand they are in a deep hole right now, Eric.
Bobby? Ed, this is Beckel. Obama's ratings are extremely low now. I mean, the idea that somehow he can pull this out on his normal charismatic, let me talk my way out of this, I think is a little bit difficult. But also, it's fair to say that on the Gallup poll, virtually every president, Truman, Johnson, Nixon, Ford, Carter, Reagan, H.W. Bush, Clinton, and G.W. Bush all had ratings lower than Obama does now. The difference is that this is something that's much bigger than the reasons they had their negatives. So do they think that they're in a political position to actually move things along?
Well, they still feel like they're going to get immigration reform down the road. They still think they're going to get the health care fully implemented. But there are huge roadblocks now. And as you lay that out with the numbers, I mean, the bottom line is, I think they might not say this publicly, but most worrisome for them is when you look at the poll numbers in various national polls about trust in the president as a person and as a president, that's falling as well. And there have been plenty of other crises for this president, as there were for Republicans and Democrats, as you just laid out. And this president was always going to fall back on, whether it was a government shutdown, whether it was a debt ceiling crisis. We've had a couple of those in the last few years. Is one thing he had over the Republicans is that people maybe didn't like his policies, but they still liked him personally. They still trusted him. That's obviously one reason why he won re-election last year. Now they're losing trust in him over health care. That is the most dangerous part, I think, for him right now.
Ed, it's Dana. So you just mentioned that they think that they can roll out Obamacare fully, but given the various definitions, what do they mean by fully? What does that look like? And when they miss that November 30th deadline, as they've hinted that they will, do you expect some sort of Friday night news dump, maybe the Friday after Thanksgiving, saying they're pushing this along to the spring?
Well, we'll see. And I think you're right. There have been plenty of news dumps on Friday nights in this administration and other administrations before. Maybe you may have had a couple of those.
I had a good one.
Well, a news dump? On
a Friday after Thanksgiving one time. It was a beautiful thing.
Well, look, here's the bottom line. I think, again, I don't want to rely too much on the polls. When you look at the CBS poll that says, 43% say repeal the thing outright, they know that there's not a majority for that right now and that the Republicans are going to keep pushing to fund it, repeal it, et cetera. I think more worrisome is that the CBS poll says 48% say change this law. The president tried to stall last week. He tried to buy more time by doing this executive fix. It's not even clear he really has the executive power to delay these cancellation notices by 1 year. He's got the state insurance commissioners here at the White House at this hour trying to convince them to go along with this plan. But you know full well it's not just Republicans anymore on the Hill. There are some moderate Democrats as well in the Senate, in the House, demanding changes to this law. So to answer your question, what's going to happen? I still don't think the law is going to be repealed. So it's not going to be fully implemented, as you asked. But are there going to be real substantive changes to this law? I think that's becoming more and more likely when you have this Democratic pressure on the president.
Ed, hi, it's Kimberly. Realistically, what do you think they're most afraid of, most fearful? They've had a series of bad news events coming one after the next, but tonight What are they thinking about? And tomorrow morning, what are they bracing themselves for?
Well, to be honest, there are senior officials here in the White House who have heard all of us say before, his presidency's done, he's a lame duck. Pick your story, whether it was the NSA, whether it was Benghazi, whether it was Syria, and having to, backpedal and go to Congress, and then it goes down. The vote was looking like it was going to go down, so then he says, okay, don't vote. Let me go talk to the American people instead. They kind of laugh off the idea that his presidency is over because they insist that we've sort of, written the obituary before. The problem now is, number one, he's further along in his presidency, about to begin his second year of the second term, so time is finally running out, number one. And number two, what I mentioned about people not just being upset about the health care law, but finally connecting it to the president and losing some trust in him, that makes it that much harder. What they're really fearful of is not just being unable to fully implement the health care law, but that he's not going to get anything else in his second term. Immigration reform, a grand bargain budget deal. All of that is certainly on the back burner, to say the least.
Hey, Ed. How's it going?
Good to see you.
So Obama's numbers, they're plunging faster than a plumber on meth. I've heard a rumor.
Oh my God.
I've heard a rumor that, and I want you to verify this, that they're going to rebrand Obamacare as an unmitigated disaster. Therefore, it's a huge success.
So lower expectations.
They've lowered expectations to a point that you need a shovel to find them. What I don't understand is who are the 7% that are saying that this law is working well? Are they the same people that invested in Olestra? Where do they find the 7%?
Look, this is probably not going to fully answer your question because
it wasn't really a question, Ed.
I don't fully understand your question or statement or whatever.
Not many people do, Ed.
I was just spewing nonsense.
I'm not sure that many viewers understand it, but that needless to say, I think in all seriousness that the real problem for him is just simply that expectations could not be any lower right now because you're joking about lowering expectations. He's hit rock bottom on this law, and so there's only one way to go up.
Hey, Ed, talk to us about the news that I mentioned in the beginning of that intro in there. The IT professionals saying that the website was only 60% functional when they decided to flip the switch and go. And the 40% part that wasn't functional was the pay part. I mean, they got to be shaking their heads in the briefing room going, how do we defend this thing anymore? And then Kathleen Sebelius last night, if it wasn't a perfect timing photo op moment, the thing goes down as she's smiling for the cameras. How do they defend this stuff?
Well, I think on the payment plan, you're absolutely right that it seems bizarre that they would move forward with everything when 30 or 40% of it is not fully built right now. It's the payment part. So, Jay Carney was asked this yesterday by one of my colleagues. So what if people want to take advantage of the tax credits and actually enroll by the end of the month? And the payment part is not ready. So do they not enroll, or is it not ready for prime time? In addition to actually just fixing the website's glitches and everything, if this payment system is not built in the next few weeks, or at least by the end of the year, before January 1st coverage and everything begins, that's another huge problem. Look, the broader point, though, I do have to make, in fairness to the White House, is that they still insist that they're going to get past the website problems, they're going to get past what you're raising, Kathleen Sebelius' photo ops and the like, and that millions more people are going to be covered with insurance, and that a lot of people in this country are going to see their premiums come down.
There are two things wrong there, though.
But between now and then, it's a lot to get from here to there.
Nobody opens a restaurant without first installing a cash register. And this, again, illustrates why government does not know how the free market works and should stay out of it. When her website broke down, do you know what she said? She said, this happens every day. Shouldn't that tell you something, that you're an incompetent boob? If every time you try to do something, it breaks down?
It kind of also tells you that we're the beta testing for a $4 trillion expansion in services. Lemon, yeah.
And let me ask you a question here. The most serious number in the poll, I think, is the trust factor for Obama. Now, there are a lot of Democrats who would like to have a bill to vote on, not just take the executive action, but have a bill to vote on to delay this for a year or extend your current policies. The question I've got is, don't they worry about putting a bill like that on the floor and opening it up for all kinds of changes?
Sure, but I think there are Democrats like Mary Landrieu, who has one of the bills you're talking about, who's facing a very restless electorate in Louisiana, a state not too kind to this president, and there's a Mark Pryor in Arkansas, which had even less votes for this president, and they're facing the voters. The president is no longer facing the voters, and so they're going to want to put something on the Senate floor to deal with this, because it seemed to be that there are many Democrats who think that the president's executive fix is not enough, and that's why you're pointing at the president doesn't want that bill on the floor, because once you start pulling the strings on this suit, they think it's going to come apart.
All right, a couple quick ones, Ed. Kimberly first.
Yeah, I just want to touch back on this issue because I think it's an important one about Democrats and whether or not they're going to continue to jump ship. They're taking a lot of collateral damage, direct hits because of their association with the president, because of the failure of this health care law, just as The Hill is reporting that some of them are receiving with anger, that he's never had a worse relationship with the party. What do you think?
Well, I think that the president may regret that there were a lot of relationships on Capitol Hill that he didn't build in, the months and years when he was far more popular, that he might have seeded him then, and they would be growing into the kind of thing where he has some friends on the Hill who can help bail him out in a time of need like now. Now, they also scoff at that here at the White House because they say that, they've had a determined Republican opposition at every turn, no matter what kind of Democratic friends they have up there. The Republicans are going to try to tear this law apart. And they still believe that when they get past these health care, the website problems, et cetera, that come a year from now, voters might look at this on balance and say that the president was standing up to giving millions more insurance while the Republicans didn't have an alternate plan. Right. And that is a fair question to raise. If the Republicans want to tear this down, what are they going to do instead? There is an issue to deal with, and they haven't really put together some broad-based alternative.
Very quick question, Ed. What are you hearing about your Christmas plans? Are you heading to Hawaii for 2 weeks with the president?
There are rumors of a Hawaii trip, but I think I've been there many times. And I'm tired of breaking out the Bermuda shorts, but I'd be more than happy to give them to Eric.
If you need a spray tan, we can help you out. Oh my God.
Hey, Ed, when you're there, look for Greg Brady's tiki doll.
That's right.
Oh my God, it's been missing.
100% right.
That could be the missing piece to this whole puzzle.
All right, Ed Henry,
so I've heard.
Thank you so much for hanging out with us for 12 minutes or so this evening. All right.